I want to thank everybody for being here, and I'm humbled. I'm humbled by this attendance. I'm scared, actually, to tell you the truth. But anyway, I want to thank you. I want to thank my executive committee and the fundraisers. My name's Sassy Stanton, and they made me president a couple months ago, and they asked me to take 2 years or 3 years, and I said, I'm 83. I'll give you 1 year, because I don't know if I'm going to be here next year. So that's all you get. So anyway, the Texas Cattlewomen, I need to congratulate, because last year, this group just went from 0 to 60, and we created this True Texas Cattlewomen Award, which I want to take on the road. It's such an impressive thing. I was just telling Mary Kathrine, I want to make it just like the Cowgirl Hall of Fame, because they're cattle women that are just as important as those cattle girls. So I just want to tell you that. Last year we had our fundraiser at the Lakeside Country Club, and through their hard work, we raised $96,000. And we're doing a lot of good with that. I want to let you know that already for 2025 in September, we have sold 24 tables and have totally underwritten the whole event. So we're on target. We want to raise at least $150,000 this year, and we want to have 300 or more people, because we can put 500 in there if we need to. So y'all just plan on. We can sell you more tables, but just remember, you got to buy the table, or you won't get to come. And on your table, I have the save the dates. They're underneath your butter plate, so if you want to pick that up, you can take that home with you. We're honoring Mary Kathrine White Moursund and the coastal ranches she represents. The history surrounding these coastal ranches is spellbinding, y'all, because it is the lasting effect of it on the entire cattle industry is unbelievable. The things that they have done to make the beef industry is what we're talking about. We're not talking about longhorns going down the road nobody wants to eat. We're talking about cattle that you can eat and you put them on your table. We are very lucky in this group. Claudia Scott Wright, her mother Sandy Scott, her sister Susan White Watts, Regina Locke, Sugie Sotwell, and Peggy Jobs are part of this coastal group. So I just want you to know history's right here. We plan on tracking this next year to 2026, and we're going to honor the Port City Stockyards and their founders, and we are going to take that and put that out there, because that's another big event that happened in the cattle industry that was monumental. The land that the original Port City Stockyards are on is presently the University of Houston. The Cullens bought it from the stockyard. The Bryant Museum did an amazing exhibit of coastal cowboys, and they started and awakened the public to this amazing coastal ranching and cowboying. And I have today here we have Melissa Williams Murphy and director Jessica Softner. Maybe they didn't make it. Oh, thank you. I saw you and I thought, y'all please stand up. Okay, great, thank you. I have to let you know, we went to an event the other evening and it was spectacular. These women you just don't have any idea how amazing they are. They had a Wildcatters gala and they raised $1.3 million. Y'all are awesome. We are so grateful to be a part of you. Thank you. Appreciate it. The underwriter, we have the underwriter of the style show and he didn't show up. Russell's in a lot of trouble. Russell Molina is sponsoring the style show. And Stevie, stand up Stevie, she's here. She runs the hat shop, the Western wear shop, and the belts and buckles. And she's going to be your, what will we call you? You'll be the person that's talking and telling everybody what to do at the style. Yeah. So if you think about it, if y'all want to go over on Richmond to the hat shop or the TJH, THS Ranch, Okay, she's it. She was in charge of the Pinto Ranch, just to let you know. She's just come to here today. She's good. And also, Sadie, where are you? Sadie is our ranch to table person, and she's pretty impressive. She processes meat with the Weimar Meat Market, but she also sells meat to you if you want to buy meat. So, Sadie, thanks for being here. Okay, I'm going to introduce, because Marie Hughes is the heart of Chamber County. She is the most amazing person. She writes books. She does everything. She can do things on computers. I'm like, how do you do that? Anyway, she's just awesome, and I'm going to hand the mic over to her because she's in charge of the rest of the program, and y'all have got an agenda on your table so you'll know what's going on.
Thank you, Sassy. And I want to just give a special thank you to you and Claudia Wright. I know that they spearheaded this operation, and my goodness, look at this crowd. You've done a magnificent job. Thank you. Thank you. As Sassy said, I am Marie Hughes. I'm the director of the Chambers County Museum at Wallaceville. If you're heading east to dump a lot of your money over there in Louisiana, you just take that little exit 807 at the foot of the Trinity River Bridge and you will find us, and it won't cost you a dime to come in. So you can take the rest of your money to Louisiana. But anyway, we're very grateful to be here, and we're very thankful that the Texas Coastal Cattlewomen have chosen to cast a spotlight on the coastal ranches of Texas, and the White Ranch has played a significant role in that. The ranching industry has been fundamental. It's a fundamental contributor to the economy and culture of Texas, and like I said, the White Ranch played a significant role. Pioneer rancher James Taylor White I, many people refer to him as the cattle king of Texas. We know he was here as early as 1819. We do have a document stating that there was a Juan White and a Tiago White here in 1807, but they were expelled by the Mexican government because they thought that their papers were forged. But we know he was here by 1819 and settled his family here in 1828. And he brought with him to Texas the Cross W brand, which he inherited from his father upon his death in 1807. The Cross W has the distinction of being the oldest Texas cattle brand still in continuous use in Texas. In fact, I have one in the museum, but I was told by Bill White when he left it, he said, I'm going to have to come back and get that because we're still using it. So, but it is quite a distinction. And the Whites were trailblazers in many aspects of the ranching industry. James Taylor White, he was on one of the first cattle drives in Texas in 1830. Now, many of you here are probably familiar with the Chisholm Trail and the old rawhide shows portrayed the cattle drives up north, but this was much earlier than that. And the early cattle drives went east to Louisiana, where instead of dropping a bunch of money, they could make a little money. And it was quite an ordeal. They would swim the cattle across the Sabine River, taking the old Opelousas Trail. A lot of people referred to it as the old beef trail. And they would herd those cattle through the mosquito-infested, alligator, snake-infested Atchafalaya swamp. So it was quite a valiant undertaking. And James Taylor White was part of that. His son, let me say this first, James Taylor White the first also introduced the practice of burning the prairie grass to bring back better grass for the cattle. So they kind of questioned it at the time, but it's a practice that is still continued today because it proved to be very beneficial. His son, James Taylor White II, in conjunction with his cousin, James Jackson, are credited with building the first fence in Texas. They started it in 1861, but a little war came along called the Civil War, so their second shipment of supplies, the ship carrying them was sunk by a Union ship, so they continued the building of the fence after the close of the Civil War. So that is another way they were a great trailblazer in Texas. But the White family, and by the way, that little fence covered a stretch of 20 miles and enclosed 10,000 head of cattle. The White family continues the great legacy of James Taylor White I, holding fast to the integrity of their progenitor, but they're always having their finger on the pulse of the future. And Bill White continued that legacy, and he left us much, much too soon. But before he did, he laid the reins into the hands of Mary Kathrine, and it is with great pleasure that I now introduce his daughter, Mary Kathrine White Moursund, 7th generation rancher of the White family.
Thank y'all so much. It's truly humbling to be the 2025 True Texas Cattlewoman nominee or awarded this such a special thing that you ladies have started. I'm very grateful to Texas Coastal Cattlewomen's for shining a spotlight on the beef industry, and this year coastal ranching in general, and the women that are involved in it. It's just a neat thing to see and to have supported. Of course, I want to thank my family for their never-ending support. I couldn't do it without all of you, especially now that Dad's gone. It's a huge privilege for me to accept this award on behalf of the work that my dad and our predecessors did. I was blessed to be raised and work for and learn from an unbelievable cow man. He's probably behind me shaking his head, saying I don't need any of this, but he really was. He'd never say that he was, but he really was good at what he did, and I was very blessed to learn from him, and it's an honor to keep things going, and I'm grateful for everybody that's here and look forward to seeing everybody in September.
Thank you.
Marie here. Marie.
Thank you, Mary Kathrine. Our next speaker, Jim Hodges, grew up a Texas cowboy, parallel to his life in local, federal, state, and federal agencies, and he predominantly worked the coastal ranches of Texas. I'm sure he'd much rather be sitting on the back of a good horse right now, but we're very grateful to have him here with us today. He garnered a reputation along the coastal ranches as a great horse trainer, and it's just my pleasure to welcome Jim Hodges. Jim?
Thank you. All right. Thank you very much, Marie. Congratulations, Mary Kathrine. Very well deserved. Excuse me. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank my dear friend Marie, because back when the Bryan Museum first tapped me to help with the Coastal Cowboys exhibit and panel and all that, I headed right straight for Chambers County because I knew exactly who I needed to help me out. So Marie was there with her amazing research. And what she can't find on the computer, she can find in those big file cabinets back there faster than a mouse in a pantry. So she was a great resource and a wonderful lady as well. She has her books out there actually in the lobby. If you haven't read them, they're just wonderful. I've worked my way through the first one. I'm on the second one, and you can't put them down. So I'm here tonight to, this evening, introduce a couple of men that really don't need any introductions. Everybody knows them. They've been around, and I say that in a good way. They have helped keep the cattle industry alive in more ways than one, and that is to continue raising cattle and ranching in the old style, but combining that with the nuances that are needed to keep these ranches generational. And that's really to be admired. Most of you that are in this business, you can look around you and you can see the big spreads are shrinking, in some cases disappearing. And the reason for that are many, but one of those reasons is mismanagement, failure to take the new steps, failure to look ahead, failure to plan, failure to fight with Mother Nature when you have to and get along with her when she blesses you with things. Excuse me. So these two men are classic examples of that. I'm going to introduce them in just a second, but I wanted to take 1 minute to tell you that out of my 50 years of government service was on very high levels of, I guess they coined the phrase Homeland Security. I don't really like that, but we were trying to keep us safe, whatever you want to call it. And every meeting I sat in, nobody got it. I kept pushing the agenda. It's food. It's food. It's food. If you don't protect our food sources, you cannot operate your technology because there will be nobody there to service it. And they don't get it. I think mainly because of that. They've never had to fix a barbed wire fence, or they've never had to help deliver a calf. Most kids or people nowadays think that food comes from HEB. And I had them tell me that at the George Ranch. I did some programs out there, and I'd ask them, where does milk come from? HEB. And when we actually milked a cow in front of them, their reaction was, eh. And so we may have ruined a generation there, but it's important for them to know that. I want to thank all of you and your organization for putting that in your literature, because you call it food, that's what it is. And so thank you for that. And I will be sure and bring this up everywhere I speak, promote your organization, if for nothing else, because of that one thing, and everything else kind of follows in behind. So as long as our homeland is safe, we're secure. So I'm going to get to the introductions of these two men. I'm going to sit over there next to them because, number one, it's a great privilege. And number two, I can hand them the microphone and let them talk, and you can actually hear them. And I'm just going to provoke them into a few questions, and they will give you the answers, and you're going to hear some firsthand ranching history. Yes?
We want to know what did they do about their feet in the marsh?
What they do?
The hooves in the marsh.
Okay. So we're going to ask them those questions in just a second, okay? So I'm going to sit down over here next to him. On the far left over here, you have Dave Scott. And Dave was a longtime rancher. His family was part of the original 300 colonists. And they're still ranching today over there in Fort Bend County. And Dave was former president of the Texas and Southwestern Cattle Raisers Association, among other things, named to just about every committee you can think of by the governors, plural, of Texas, and was inducted into the Texas Cowboy Hall of Fame. And so he's a man that knows what he's talking about. He's still running cattle over there, and I'm proud to know him. Next one here is Leroy Easer. And Leroy is also an old-time cattleman. And we don't mind people calling us old-time cattlemen anymore. We're still alive, right? And but Leroy's operated the Canada Ranch over there in Chambers County, and does a tremendous job of it. I know he's a good coastal cowboy, because every time I call him on the phone, I hear cattle in the background, and he's out of breath, and he's delivering a calf or something. He doesn't have time to talk to me, so that's good. That's a rancher, because he's taking care of business. And so I'm proud to know both of these guys and to be up here with them. So let me sit down. I just got a couple of questions to get them kicked off, and then I'm going to let them entertain you with a few stories here. So I'm going to actually pick on Leroy first, because we asked him to be an alternate for the Coastal Cowboys panel for the Bryan Museum. And I called him on the phone, and I said, I need an alternate just in case somebody can't show up. And in true top hand cowboy fashion, all he said was, I'll be there if you need me, and if you don't, I ain't coming. And we didn't need him, and he didn't come. But he's here today, and we're glad to have him. So I'm going to let him kick it off today, because we do have him here, and it's just a wonderful privilege. So if you will let us know, how did you meet Bill White, and what was your affiliation over the years?
I've known, can you hear me? I've known Bill for probably since I was about 20 years old, because we're in the same league game. I had great respect for Bill. I love to visit with Bill, and we get to talking and kind of feed off of him, and he would have the same idea I would. I really felt good, and because I had a lot of respect for him, and everybody else did. There's no question he was the largest rancher in the country, in the county. One of my favorite stories to tell about Bill is, this is before Hurricane Ike came through. A few years before, they had a very big storm over in southwestern Louisiana, the Sulphur area. Bill loaded his crew up, his horses and trucks and trailers, and went over and helped those people get their cattle out of the marshes and take care of them. Not only did he do that, he loaded the cattle up and brought them back to Texas, gave them pasture, and took care of them for a year or so. I don't think he charged them a dime. That's the type of guy Bill was. Later on, I'm kind of getting into Dave's story now, I think, maybe a little bit, but we had Hurricane Ike. Is it all right if I go ahead?
Oh, yeah.
Already started.
All you want.
Hurricane Ike came through, and this is Chambers County. It tore us up bad. Thanks to Dave, I was able to sell all my cattle, about 800 head. We had no place to take care of them. If you don't have feed, you don't have water, you don't have fence, you don't have corrals, you need to get rid of them. We had a meeting at the park. Dave spoke, Special Ranger spoke. When they got through about what was going to be available, the services that the state and the county and the government was going to provide for us, they asked Bill to get up and speak. Everybody got quiet. They had great respect for Bill, and because of what he had done, the knowledge he had. He laid it on the line. He didn't sugarcoat it, which is not the place to sugarcoat anything. He told the folks, says, we got 5 days to get these cattle to water and on feed. After that, they're going to go to dying on us. They're going to go down. The last thing he said was, we don't need you folks with your Western Pleasure horses, the trail riders, Says, we need cowboys. Says, this is serious. And you know what? Everybody took every word he said serious and had great respect because he had gone to Louisiana and he had a lifetime of tending the cattle in the marsh and everything. And he knew what he was talking about, and we all respected him. And that's the type of Bill was and how he was thought of.
Great. Thank you. And Dave, a question I've got for you is essentially the same. If you will, I know that you ranched with Bill White for a little over 40 years, is that right? Yeah. If you can tell us a little bit about that relationship and how that worked for you, because it's an amazing story.
First time I met Bill I was over there with his father, and I was 20, and Bill was 5. So a little difference in it, and I didn't pay much attention. He and his brother were having they wasn't supposed to be down there. Daddy didn't want them down there where they were working cattle, but anyhow, their mother said they need to come down there and learn something. So they were pushing and shoving, and we got through at lunch. We went in there. They had an old ranch house. They always had a cook there. We went in there to eat, and those boys were up in front of me, and they were pushing and shoving, and Mr. White said, "You boys cut that out." And I mean, they froze. And that was where I first met him. Later on, as he got older, I'd go there and help work sometimes in the springtime, and I really enjoyed being around him. And when his father died, he decided that he was going to buy the rest of the family out and run the ranch himself, and asked me if I'd come over and kind of go over some figures with him. And we were talking about, at that time, $100 calf, and that was pretty good. And he had everything laid out, how he was going to do it, and his expenses and everything. I said, "Boy, it looks good to me." So from that day on, he took over, and he didn't do anything but good. And I was proud to be, around him. And later on, we got to partner on. I started buying some of the calves, and he thought I was buying them too cheap, so I said, "Well, you can just keep half of them, and we'll just partner on them." That's really how we started partnering. And then we got it, and we leased a couple of places, and we had cattle on oats and in the feedlot, and that was, I guess, the last 40 years of his life. That's what we did. And that's, by the way, when the lady that's here today, that's where I really got to know her. I knew her since she was a baby. And she learned a lot from her daddy, and I enjoyed being around her. She was always, if everybody's in a bad mood, she'd have a big smile on her face, and willing to work. And the worst thing I can remember, things I could remember, is we always had cattle in a growing yard up around Franklin, and they came out in December when it was cold. And I don't think we ever shipped those cattle and it wasn't freezing. And she'd be right there. There wasn't any backing out or grumbling or anything. She was there till it's all over. And so I'm proud to, now that Bill's gone, I'm partners with her mother, and it's a great experience. I'm glad to have known him, and I can't say enough about him.
Thank you, Dave. And I'm going to ask Leroy to do some of the same that Dave just did and tell us a little story that he has about Mary Kathrine also.
Actually, I was never around Mary Kathrine like Bill, but Mary Kathrine was very close to my granddaughter who's sitting over here. And I knew about Mary Kathrine. I was very impressed. She went to A&M, did honors. I was told they have a picture of her on the wall in the hall because of one of the projects she did. At one time it was there. She was studying for take care of her Bill. She went on to TCU, and they have a ranch training course up there. And I was proud that she went there and took it. I took it a long time ago. in 1961. The course that I took and she took are two totally different things. But anyway, I'm sure she aced that also.
All right. Well, thank you, Leroy and Dave. Those are wonderful stories and about a wonderful family that we can honor today for sure. And it's kind of nice after you live for a while that people say nice things about you. And to Mary Kathrine's credit, I noticed when I said that last comment about stories about her, she didn't cover her face with her napkin, so she must have lived a good life. So anyway, does anybody have any questions that they would like to ask either Dave or Leroy that about the cattle business? Because they're just, I really enjoyed talking to them. Every time we sit down and talk, we just set fire out here in the lobby when they first got here, and they always just bring these stories out that just knock you over backwards. They're just very powerful, especially about the hurricanes, the aftermath of them. And I will tell you that on YouTube, if you look up Bill White and hurricane, I think is how you would Google it, you'll see a really good video of him on there after the hurricane talking. And it's just amazing. He talks about how much it cost them to ship cattle out and how there was no insurance and the fences were down and, the water was fouled and the flies, the mosquitoes and all this. And it's nice to hear it from somebody that was not only on the front end of it, but again, bringing all that tradition along with him and still applying the old methods with the new methods. It's just amazing to hear. So if you got any questions.
I think that there's a lot of people here that have never known the day-to-day operations of what that takes to raise a cow. I can't call them cow. I call them cattle. Dairy cows are cows. Anyway, okay. So, but my question is, I just think they don't understand the sequence of the breeding, the babies, how long you take them, what you have to do, what you have to take them to the stock car. If people don't understand how long it takes to get this piece of meat to them, can you talk about that?
Sure. Well, they can talk about it better than I can because I was just a horseman. But I didn't know much about the cattle. I just went out and pushed them around, and I did what the guys like these told me to do. And made a little money doing that, too, by the way, in case y'all need a day hand. I'm still able to ride. I just thought I'd throw that out there real quick. But, Dave, could you talk about that? Like, what's your selection process, and how do you take those cattle through to where they are on the plate here?
Basically, what we do, we have cows and calves. Hopefully, most of them are born in the spring. We wean them in the fall, and in the meantime, they stay with their mothers and they have grass and water, and that's basically all I do, put out a little mineral. Some people think you have to feed them every day, and that's their pleasure, I guess. But anyhow, when we wean them in the fall, that's what we're doing right now. Actually, today, I'm supposed to be there, but I'm not. I'm here. And we send them, we do one of two things. We either sell them right now, and it's a real good price, or what we've mostly done, we'll send them to a growing yard, which is a place where they feed them not a real highly concentrated feed for about 60 days. We usually wean them, they're weighing 5.5, and we'll send them there till they weigh 7.5, and then we'll sell them to a feed yard in the Panhandle, and they'll feed them for they used to feed them 120 days. Now they feed them 5 to 6 months, and then the packers will take them, and they'll wind up in HEB or whoever.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. That gives us part of that long process in there. I'm going to get Leroy to kind of get a little deeper into that about the calving situations on ranches, because I know we had a problem on one of the ranches with some of the Santa Gertrudis cattle having some birth problems and calving problems and things.
Okay, I run crossbreed cattle, Brayford. A little bit about the grazing on the marsh, and I'm right on the coast. We burn the pastures in the marsh pastures in the fall so that the grass will be coming back. Cows will have nutritious grass and tender. We go in the marsh with our cattle in the fall, keep them there all winter, bring them out in the spring. We work the calves. The marsh is a very good winter pasture. It saves us from having a big feed bill. We separate our bulls in the fall and put them back out in the spring. We're fixing to next week work our calves. A little bit about talking about myself. We do it right after the end of school, so that my grandkids can come there and be part of it. It's very important that they love this lifestyle, I think, and hopefully they'll continue with the ranch after my wife and I are passed on. And another little interesting thing about the way we run, I'm sorry about talking about my ranch, but it's interesting to me. We do things that they used to do years ago when they worked the big cow work, and the wives always cooked a big meal. And I mean roast, rice and gravy, and a delicious dessert. On our place, we do that now. It makes it a lot easier to get good cowboys or ranch hands. And so my wife needs.
Do you have an opening?
My wife and daughter have to take credit for that. They're sitting right over there. But that's one of the main, that's how we operate on the ranch.
And I'm going to get you to expound on something you said just a little deeper about when you say working cattle. Can you talk about that just a little bit? Because that's really kind of at the heart of ranching. It's probably the hardest part to get it done right. And so I'll let you talk about that.
Okay. Well, like I say, we work the cattle. That's changing the calves in the spring, vaccinating, spraying for flies and ticks and lice. We have to do that periodically for the flies. We're all familiar with this is interesting, with the mosquito problem. When the mosquitoes get bad, we put our cattle in a larger herd. At night, those cattle will bed down, get up tight, and it's amazing. There's no mosquitoes there unless the wind changes. A very interesting also thing about that, it's been quite a few years ago we were moving cattle and the mosquitoes were terrible. I mean, you could wipe them off literally wipe the mosquitoes off the horse's neck with your hand, and it would be bloody. They're stomping and fighting. We got the cattle to a place there where we were going to move them into another pasture, and we gathered them all up, and everybody just rode up in the herd and just sit there for about 15, 20 minutes, relaxing. There was not a mosquito in there. The cattle put off an aroma, or what would you call it, Dave?
I guess.
Anyway, it works, and that kind of.
Yeah, thank you. So we get a new mosquito repellent out of that, right? The essence of cattle or something. I'd like to get some of that. It seemed like the mosquitoes were always following the cowboys, I can tell you that, because we
Can I expand
yes, sir.
No.
Yes.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
About the mosquitoes, lots of times the wind picks up, and during the night, and the cattle will move into it, And you go out there in the morning, and if the cows had a baby calf, they'll walk off and leave it if the mosquitoes are that bad. So that's one of the things we have to do is find that mother and get that baby calf back together as soon as we can so that it can get the nourishment that it needs. Okay, I'll let you.
Good. Oh, thank you. Okay. Any other question?
We have anybody have other questions? We're gonna introduce.
Yes, sir.
I just got one. I've heard this is several people talking about it, taking cattle from Galveston County to Chambers County. Back a long time ago, they would actually run them across the bay at low tide, and I don't know how much truth that is. I've never be curious to see, because it seems amazing to run cattle that far across that
Yeah.
body of water.
Well, they're still moving cattle around over there. I'm going to let Dave Scott take that one because he can tell you a little bit about that.
I'm thinking this is the channel too.
I had the pleasure of being with a lady that was with the place down at NASA, and she was telling me about how they used to do that. They had a picture in there, and the picture was taken on the Trinity River, and they were crossing cattle. The Mays used to cross their cattle right there at Trinity River, and they blanked out all the other side, and they made it look like the bay out there. And she told me, said, that's a superimposed picture, but said, we heard one time that there was some high spots out there and that they could do it. But as far as ever knowing anybody doing it, I never heard of it. But I know they have that picture there, and some of them probably tell stories about it.
I think I'd take the bridge.
Yeah. Okay. You want to say a word about that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll let you do that.
About swimming the cattle, though, Mary Kathrine can tell you that they still swim the intercoastal every spring and every fall.
That's her picture down there, we're doing it.
No, that's after a hurricane, actually.
But if you don't mind me putting a plug in for my book, I had the great privilege of interviewing Bill White, and the legacy of the White Ranch is in the first edition of my book, along with the history of the Boyd Ranch. My second edition book has the other major ranches of Chambers County in it, including Leroy's Canada Ranch is in that book as well.
Plus, she did the map, and so y'all need to look at the map. The map is historically correct, and it was approved because it's extremely accurate. And I ran it through the Bryant Museum, and they approved it too. And we got the people that do the Bryant Museum maps are the people that printed this map, and they said it was top. It was really a well done map. Yeah.
Thank you so much. We have them for sale for $50 a piece if you'd like to get one.
I want to introduce Linda Galeta, and Linda she's already put up with me for a long time, riding horses and sleeping in the same bed and all that kind of stuff, because we've done a lot of trail riding and stuff. But I want y'all to know she's the consummate cattlewoman. She has 1,000 acres, and she was at the top of as far as the breeders and people that sold to 44. And they were the ones that do the paddles, you can't touch anything, all this perfect meat. Well, anyway, she was their number one, and she every year just outperformed anybody else with how well her cattle were taken care of and the quality of the meat. But she's a generational rancher as well, and she's also a graduate of the TALL program, which is a very extremely elite program of people in the cattle industry. And I'm going to introduce you to Linda, and she's going to introduce you to Emily. You can do it right there. Yeah. Okay.
Whoops. Okay, so yes, I am a generational rancher, and we were in Katy, Texas. So yes, I know all about mosquitoes, and anyway, for a long time until Houston sort of came our way, and then we had to move the ranch up to East Texas in Crockett. It's a little difficult to ranch in Katy, Texas anymore. But something that's near and dear to my heart is the whole point of generational ranching, and how we sustain this ranching business in its truest form. So there's been a lot of conversations about that because I'm blessed. I inherited a ranch and was able to step into my father's shoes and take over, and then take it to the next level. As you were speaking, there are many changes in our industry. They continue to be many changes, and very quickly. So, but I was blessed to have the land and the cattle. I did not have to make the financial and go through the hardships of the past 5, 6, 7 generations that our families have gone through to hold on to these ranches, hold on to the land, and to give us the cattle and better cattle as we keep working toward that. So the person I'm about to introduce is Emily Lochner. Emily Lochner. She is Executive Director of the Events, Education, and Leadership Development for Texas Cattle Raisers. And there is a program that they have started, a foundation, that is the Leadership Development Foundation. She's going to tell you more about it, but there was a table that's set up outside where all of her brochures, pamphlets, information is out there, because their mission is to advance and protect the stewards of land and livestock, and they're committed to giving back to future generations through the TSCRA Leadership Development Foundation. So this is something that can certainly help ranchers and future ranchers. So I'm going to let Emily tell you all about that.
I'm going to come up to the podium. I've got some notes and numbers for all of you. So thank you so much, Linda and Texas Coastal Cattle Women. Y'all are about to meet Hunter and Zoe are passing out our literature for the TSCRA Leadership Development Foundation. These are 2 of our summer interns. They're actually both students at Oklahoma State University. So we are an equal opportunity employer at TSCRA to get a couple of Oklahoma Staters, but they are fantastic and are here with us for the summer, so appreciate them being here. Like Linda said, my name is Emily Lochner, and I'm the Executive Director of Events, Education, and Leadership Development for Cattle Raisers. If you're not familiar with us, our table is at the front, but our association, which Dave and Leroy are both on our board of directors, our association is a membership association, a voluntary membership association of 28,000 ranchers and producers across the state of Texas and the Southwest. And so we provide a multifaceted approach to our members, not only through what we do with events, education, and developing future generations, but Leroy mentioned briefly, we have a team of special rangers, and that's 30 licensed peace officers across the state of Texas and Oklahoma that investigate cattle crimes. So if your cattle, you have cattle theft or somebody runs through your fence, our guys are there, and they're there to protect and serve any interests in the name of agriculture. But then we also have a government affairs office in Austin. We have 3 registered lobbyists who are in the thick of it right now in the 89th Texas legislative session. They are reviewing thousands, truly over 8,000 bills in Austin right now to make sure that if you have land and livestock, you are protected. And we want to make sure that happens, because that's certainly important, that things can happen in Austin that have long-term effects on you and your industry and the business that we're in. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the Leadership Development Foundation. You've got kind of our high points in front of you, but who we are, like Linda said, our foundation was established last year in February of 2024. Officially, we founded the Leadership Development Foundation, which is a 501c3 entity to help advance the stewards of land and livestock, the future generations of land and livestock. We know that the future of the beef industry is not as bright as it once was, because there's a lot of scary things out there. Urbanization, government regulations, prices, market volatility. the opportunity for young people, we say this a lot, there was once an opportunity for a young person to graduate college, buy land, buy cows, and start a ranch and have a profitable business that supports your family. And that is no longer. You cannot do that anymore unless you have inherited it or you have a job in town. It doesn't happen. So, cattle raisers, as I mentioned earlier, we were established in 1877. That's 147 years we have been here. We were established under an oak tree in Graham, Texas, when cattle theft was a problem. And a group of ranchers decided that they needed to come together collectively to protect their assets. And if we want to be here for 147 more years, it's up to us to determine how can we protect those assets. Just like they said 147 years ago, we're at another pivotal time. How can we do that? How can we help these young people? Those of you that don't know, Texas A&M Real Estate Center did a survey a couple of years ago that found there are 1,200 new residents a day that come into Texas, and we lose 644 farmable acres of land every single day in the state of Texas. So that is why we established the Leadership Development Foundation, because it's important to help further the future generations of land and livestock stewards. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we do and the programs that we offer. It's all in the information in front of you, but I can tell you a little bit about it and some of the stories that we have. So what we focus on, I know a lot of Cattle Women chapters. I'm not overly familiar if y'all's chapter does work with elementary students in schools or not, but a lot of Cattle Women chapters do. We don't go quite that young because there's already really great programs out there. We work a lot with the Hill Country Cattle Women, and they do a lot in elementary schools and talking to young kids about beef and cattle ranching. We start at the high school level, and our hope is that we can connect with students at a high school level, students who have a passion for agriculture, who are in FFA, who are in 4-H. We want them to go to college and stay in agriculture, get a degree in agriculture. And then we work with agricultural students at college, and non-agricultural students for that matter, in their college days. And we hope that we can keep them in as a young producer. A lot of students or young people who grow up on farms and ranches find their way to University of Texas, and they become a lawyer, and they go to California, and they leave the farm and ranch. And we want them to stay. We want to target these students when they're in high school, and we want them to go to college and stay in agriculture and get out of college and stay in agriculture and one day be the next Dave Scott and Leroy Easer. That's what we want. That's our hope. And so how can we target these students, and how can we help them? And so we provide collegiate, high school and collegiate camps and learning opportunities. And so our high school camps, we have 2 upcoming this summer, actually 1 next week in Austin. And we take those students to the Capitol, and we show them what it takes to pass legislation and to have an impact in politics in the agricultural industry. And so we're going to take a group of students to Austin next week. And then this summer, we will hit the road with 25 high school students. So for each of you, please say a prayer for our interns. They are taking 25 high schoolers on a bus to the Panhandle for 7 days. So let's wish them a good, nice prayer for that. But we take them to the Panhandle, and like Jim said, we go through the process of the beef production process. We start at the cow-calf level, and we see, how are these seed stock operations developing, and then they go on to the stocker level, and then they go to a feedlot, and then they go to a packing plant, and then they go to HEB, and then we take it all the way. Then they go to a food bank, and they serve food to the underprivileged in the Panhandle. And they see start to end, how does food impact the world around us? And we hope that we can sink our hands into these students so they remember, where they came from. like Mary Kathrine, I grew up on a farm and ranch. I'm not a 7th generation, I'm a 5th generation producer myself. I live on our family farm outside of Waco. We have a dairy and a Brangus seed stock operation and a corn crop operation. And my dad, when we were younger, anytime we would acquire new property, my dad would always have my brother and I go pick up rocks. Which, for any of you who have been corn farmers or any kind of farmers, you know that you need to pick up rocks out of a field so it doesn't damage your equipment. I don't really think that it had much to do with the equipment, maybe a bit more to do with character building when we were younger. But I have picked up many of rocks out of a cornfield in my day, and my dad always said it was to give us an appreciation for the land, so we would remember it. And that's what we hope to do with our students, to give them an appreciation for the industry so they remember it. Then we also offer college opportunities at the foundation. And so we go on campus to college campuses across the state of Oklahoma and Texas. We only go to 6 college campuses, but that's not where our reach ends. We work with a lot more than that. But we go to college campuses and we talk to students about how to do your resume and how to interview and how to write a cover letter, and what are the opportunities in agriculture for jobs, because they may have an agricultural degree, but they may not know what their options are. So we help expose them to any kind of opportunity that they need, and then we also offer them financial planning services, and we bring in a financial planner and we say, how do you write a check? And how do you open a bank account? And how do you get a loan? These are important things that these college students, they don't know, but we want them to know, because that's going to be pivotal. If they're coming back to a ranch one day, they better know how to do that. So we try to offer them those opportunities, and then we also offer young producer opportunities once they are out of college, age 25 to 40. How can we help them get plugged in? Because sometimes it's intimidating, and they don't know who to talk to, and they don't know where to go. And how can we help them find a network of people that will support them and answer their questions, so they can call up and say, how do I get rid of mosquitoes? What do I do in a flood? They need those network of support, and how can we be the backbone for them is one of the things that we offer. Like Linda mentioned, we have a new program that we just launched last year called the Working Grant Program. The Working Grant Program provides critical support to ranching operations. We essentially, young producers apply for our grant, and they are either seeking to grow or establish a beef business, and it is not a loan, it is a gift. To date, in the last 6 months, we have given out $493,000 to young people who are trying to grow their operation. Maybe they have land, but they don't have it fenced. Or they have fenced land, but they don't have cattle, and they need to buy cattle. Or they need to dig a water well. And so they come to us and they ask for $100,000 to buy cattle to put on their operation, and we give it to them after an extremely rigorous application process. They turn in their tax returns and they write essays and they send us the name of their banker, and they go through, a pretty rigorous process. But we make sure that they are going to use the finances appropriately. And then we give them the financial assistance that they need to get in and stay into the beef industry. Like I said in the beginning, this is a tough road to hoe. So any way that we can be their cheerleader in that, that's what we want to do. So we provide grants. We have an application period that's open right now. The application is open twice a year in May and November. So for another 10 days, young producers can apply for grants, and we will award those in the next, probably 90 or 120 days or so. We also have a very robust internship program. Some of you in the room may know, I guess kind of sort of a fellow coastal cattleman, Gilly Riojas. For those of you that don't know or did not know Gilly Riojas, he was from Corpus and was a longtime cattleman. He worked for the King Ranch and the East Foundation, and was currently at Silver Ventures, where he all of their beef feeds into the Pearl in San Antonio, if you're familiar with that. So he ran the ranch that fed into the Pearl. And Gilly passed away very unexpectedly in December of last year. He was 47 years old. He passed away of pancreatitis. He went into a hospital on Wednesday and passed away on Friday. He had a 13-year-old daughter. And Gilly was instrumental at TSCRA because he established the very first youth program. When we said we need a foundation, Gilly was our first chairman. And he stood up. I'll never forget when I made the phone call. I told him, I said, Gilly, he had a huge passion for the future of the beef industry and youth in the beef industry. And I called him and I said, Gilly, we're thinking that we need youth programs at TSCRA because 4 years ago we had nothing. And so we said, we need a youth program at TSCRA. And he said, I agree. And he was in leadership line on the policy side. And I said, if you take this, you have to give up your leadership position. And he said, if there's anybody that's going to fight for the future of the beef industry, let it be me. And it always reminded me so much, I'll never forget that phone call, it reminded me so much of the Bible verse, here I am, send me. And Gilly did that. And he fought for the future of the beef industry. And when he passed away, it was a huge hit to the association and the industry at large. And so we named our internship program after him. We announced it just a few weeks ago at our convention, the Gilly Riojas Memorial Intern Program. We receive over 500 applicants from 44 different we received last year 551 intern applicants from 23 states representing 55 colleges. And so our impact is far and wide. We place interns both in Fort Worth and in Austin at cattle events across the state. We help further those collegiate intern careers and hope to do so for a long time. So we've got a lot of numbers in your packets. To date, we have currently 1,552 student members at TSCRA. Although sometimes the future is a bit daunting, they still continue to show up. 32% of people that come to cattle raisers events are under the age of 40. So the future is daunting, but it is bright for who we have. And so what do we need? Well, we need help and we need support. This is not something that we can do alone. And if this were something that each of you had interest in, we'd love to tell you more about it. It is a 501c3 entity. And we do work every single day. We have several staffers at the association, and this is our job, to make sure that the future is protected. And so not only from a CattleWomen perspective, but individually, if you want to take this back to your communities, let us know. If you've got grandchildren, children, nieces, nephews, a local 4-H chapter, let them know about us. Let them know that we're here to help. And not only professionally, but personally. I was showing Linda a picture earlier. I have a 7-month-old daughter at home, and she is the 6th generation on our river farmland. And it is my job not only to stand here because I'm paid to do so by TSCRA, but because I believe it. Because we live outside the city of Waco, and every single day the city of Waco gets a little bit closer to us. And I pray that that farmland is there when she wants to come back. She rides the tractor a lot these days. She goes out with my husband and plants a lot of corn. Right now they're not planting, but she's out in the pasture a lot, And I pray that she can continue to do that for decades to come. So that's a little bit about us. Thank you so much for inviting us here to tell our story. And if you've got any questions, Zoe, Hunter, and myself are happy to answer them. We're going to be at the back, and we'll be here after. So thank you so much.
I want to make sure that y'all know that the whole purpose of what we're doing is to promote the beef industry. I mean, that's why we're here, Well, y'all are here to help us do it, but we want you to understand the beef industry, and I think that's the reason that this kind of event is extremely important, because it's real people, it's real issues, and it is important to the country, y'all. We would not have won the Second World War if we had not had the agricultural support that we had, and we could feed our soldiers. And the oil that we have in Texas made the tanks go. So remember, this is vital. And thank y'all so much for coming today. I want y'all to know we've got the maps back there, and we have all of these wonderful people in this room, and I just am very grateful to God that y'all are here. Thanks. I'm sorry.
Scholarships.
Oh, you want to know about them? You want to talk about it?
We just give scholarships.
Oh, here, come talk about that. Oh,
We're raising money for scholarships, and so our scholarship window is getting ready to open if you have applicants. Just go on our website in the next couple of days.
I'm sorry. That wasn't on my agenda. I forget things like that. You have to work on me. All right, y'all. Bless y'all. Thank you, everybody. I want to thank our speakers for coming. I want to thank Marie for coming. I want to thank Emily, came all the way from Fort Worth. And, of course, our honoree. I mean, are we blessed? This is awesome. Thank y'all. Appreciate it.